have sunglasses on.
Yeah, you put sunglasses. It's sunny out. You have to have sunglasses.
Sunglasses are allowed?
I guess.
I didn't think sunglasses were allowed in videos.
We are road tripping. Well, hey there, everyone.
Hi there.
It's Bobby
We
D.
weren't saying hi there. I'm Erin.
And we are here on a road trip version of Heart of the Gala. And we are in the middle of Bumble something. Somewhere middle of the United States. And
You know what I love about this?
What's that?
Is how many people think, oh, that's like only New York City style.
Oh, yeah, those guys, they only do New York City.
You are so wrong. We do Bumble also.
Yes, we do flashy events. Always in New York City. No, we don't. We travel across the nation to do fundraising events, and you get to get us on a road trip. And we figure since we're road tripping and we're going to talk to each other anyways, we might as well record it. So, Erin.
So, Bobby.
So, tell me how your fundraising season's going.
It's going great.
Yeah.
I'm not in season yet. I've had a couple sparse events so far.
Baloney. We started officially last weekend.
No, I
in
started
Phoenix.
officially a month ago, and then have just been peppering in lots of consulting. That is what's been happening my season so far.
Oh, yes.
Endless amounts of consulting.
Well, we did go to Phoenix last week, and we had 2 events. And how'd they go?
Fantastic.
2 events. Well, one thing that we did want to talk about, the 2 events that we did happen, we had 2 different timelines. That's right. And we're talking about timelines on this episode.
Well, I mean, I almost want to start this from like the conversation of, Bobby, what the hell? Why'd you let them do that? That's the same conversation Bobby gets as soon as he gets into a car with me after a gala.
Why did you let him do that? Well, it was a good idea.
And he was like, thought I'd try a thing.
Well, here's the thing about timelines, and here's the things that I've learned over the many years of doing this, is that, yes, we do have a recipe for timelines, but sometimes you have to modify them for the things that your clients want to have happen.
Well, I don't just think it's the clients. I think it's also what your donors expect. Like,
Yes.
Obviously, what we're doing in the middle of Bumble is not what we can be doing in New York City.
Absolutely.
Very different identities of their donors, expectations of an event.
Culture of giving.
I want to talk about this for like a hot second. We're going to jump in here for 2 seconds.
All right.
Interrupting.
Yes.
Because we just talked about how we were in Arizona, and I'm a New Yorker, as you know.
Right.
You all charge tickets. You get like a ticket when you come in, and then you charge for drinks.
Yeah, it's okay. So
I know it's an Arizona thing because I thought maybe this is just a one-time thing. No, it's every event in Arizona.
I thought you were weird, and I was like, "What do you mean it's open bar? If Zonies had open bar, we would have serious shit shows, like sloshed, hammered Arizonans doing lots of not so
you're saying
nice
New Yorkers have better self-control? Is that what you just said?
I think it's just more of the culture there that they are able to handle an open bar.
No, I think what it is that Zonians, whatever you just called them.
Zonies.
Yeah. Need a less expensive ticket price.
You think?
Yes. New Yorkers like a high ticket price. That means the gala is going to be better. And you can't have a high ticket. If you have a high ticket price, then you're like, we'll just throw in the booze. We'll throw everything in. If you got to an event and so you told a New Yorker they had to buy their drinks after they just spent hundreds of dollars on a ticket, you'd be left out of the state.
Yeah, they would leave.
Where you can modify this. And this is the same thing where like the demographic and the expectations then follows into your timeline.
Yep, you're right. Okay, so back to Zoni, back to timeline. Back to 2 different types of events back to back. So Friday night, we were working with an organization in which they contacted me and said, we need some help with our fundraising. I'm like, okay, what do we have? And they weren't sure what they had in regards of live auction items, but they knew they had these 3 honorees. They knew they wanted to do a paddle raise, and they weren't sure with everything else. I'm like, all right, well.
Wow, that's how it started?
That's how it started. They didn't know that they were.
It ended way better than that.
Yeah, they didn't know that they were going to have a live auction. So all of a sudden, out of the woodwork, just like everything, live auction items started coming out of the woodwork. We ended up with a trip with helicopter flight with the sheriff, and lunch with the sheriff, and a tour, and a bunch of beauty supplies from the sheriff's wife's salon, and all kinds of things. Anyways, it was for the sheriff. Sheriff's cool guy, and he provided that. And then they had this champagne and Chanel thing, which was really, really fun. And then they had, who was our honoree? Mary Louise Parker. It's okay.
Mary Louise Parker,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I thought you were a big fan. It's cool.
I am a big fan. Bobby, I got to tell you, I lost my sunglasses.
How did you
and
lose
I got
your
distracted.
sunglasses? Did you find your sunglasses?
No.
Well,
This
good thing
car ate them.
we're going east.
I'm just going to ride like this. Okay.
Okay.
Mary Louise Parker.
Yeah, so Mary Louise Parker won the big award, was being honored, and they were doing a big interview with her at the end. So, okay, and then they ended up with a live auction item with Mary Louise Parker where you got to have brunch with her the next day, and you got to have a portrait painted of you of this awesome artist, and
By
then
this famous artist.
And
really cool.
you get this like platinum and diamond.
I feel like you should have bought it just so I can get a portrait with that guy. He was really amazing.
It was epic. It was great. But those were the things that kind of popped out in the consultation. And then I was like, okay, well, there's a few ways we can go about this. And it seemed like each item tied with each honoree. And we would do honoree auction item. And this is what we did. Honoree auction item, honoree auction item, honoree. Nope, sorry. Honoree auction item.
Appeal.
Storytelling, then appeal, and then honoree, and then auction item, and then interview with Mary Louise Parker. It's kind of how it ended up.
That is so much talking, Bobby.
That was a lot of talking.
There was a lot of talking.
I didn't think that it was going to talk that long, but
dun, 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 you give somebody a microphone and they can't put it down. What's that like?
You're right, and it's really funny when people have microphones and they get up on the.
How many times did you hear this line? I would say if you know, because I did count it.
Are we doing a drinking game?
This could be a drinking game. For all galas, especially in New York where they are not charging you drink prices.
Okay.
How many times does somebody say, I know I wrote my script, but I'm just going rogue and I'm just saying whatever I want.
Yes. Oh, yes. It happened a lot. Look at, are we going to go to the Bob Ross experience?
I heard it 4 times this weekend. Weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I love it when honorees and speakers are like, we're just going to go off
They write
script.
their speech. They submit it. They get it analyzed. They break it down. They get it. Say, okay, we're good to go. This is a perfect amount of time. They practice it and they get up on stage and they're like, I forgot how to read. I'm just going to thank my mom and my dog.
Blah, 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 blah. Boring speech, boring
academy.
speech, boring speech, boring speech. If you are out there and you're listening to this and you're ever an honoree, 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes to say everything you want because yes,
Bobby,
you're what?
How long do you actually get if you tell them they have 2 minutes? How long are they going to take?
7.
Okay, I was going to say 5. That was nice of you. They're allowed 2 minutes, which means you tell them, and this is for the nonprofits that are listening. You tell them they get 30 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Then they take 2 minutes.
Well, you're right. You're right. And so yes, was kind of the
unless they had a root canal that day.
Yeah, it was the kind of, I wouldn't say killer of the night, but it was definitely a downer. Kind of made things that we were supposed to be wrapped up by 9 o'clock. We weren't really wrapped up until like 9:45, getting into the band and so on and so forth and whatnot. I mean, the first auction item went great. Second auction item went really good.
I think they all would have gone great, but that you lose the momentum. That's what killed me.
You're right, and that's what we're going to talk about is momentum. That's the biggest thing, is building that momentum and keeping that momentum. So with this particular outline of this event on Friday, what would have you changed, Darren? I'm just curious.
I wouldn't do honorees, clearly.
Well, they had to do honorees. That was a non-negotiable.
Speak. You cannot speak anything. You cannot say anything. I like videos for an honoree. That's a great thing.
Right.
I like celebrating an honoree, making them awesome. A lot of times you'll find honorees don't actually want to speak, and they feel like they have to, and then they're like shaking up there. That takes longer, but it also, the audience has so many emotions watching the speech. So for me, I would have cut back significantly on the introductions of the honorees.
Okay.
And on the amount of time. But I wouldn't have put anything in between. I think once you get into the flow, as an auctioneer, the energy of the room shifts.
Yes.
And once you get that shift, you're making money.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, like we sold that first item for $10,000 twice. It was great.
Yeah, we could have kept going from there.
Yes. Yes, you're right. And we could have done champagne and then and whatnot. But that's how we live and we learn, and we adjust things and we modify and we try things, and sometimes things work great and sometimes things, not so much. But I do want to talk about now this paddle raise that happened. They were expecting the total of the night to raise $75,000. Do you know how much we raised?
A little bit, a lot of it more.
$150,000
That's awesome.
of the whole thing. And
No, not of the whole event, of the live fundraising.
In the room. We
just
call
the live
fundraising
auction and
room.
the appeal.
Yes, in the room. So
Thunderous.
we had 2 wonderful speakers that did go long in their speeches. However,
I love a speaker. I'm not going to shame any speakers for going long.
Yes, these were the there was one that was the founder or co-founder of the organization, and then there was one that was actually recipient of services of another organization that was granted money from the organization we were raising money from.
It did interest me that they seemed like they didn't know what those speeches were going to be. I think they didn't get copies of those speeches. They were so incredibly impactful.
We did get copies of the speeches.
But they went off.
Yeah, they did. But I think it was okay in this instance. It was okay.
I think one of them went off script just because I gave her my superpower.
She
was like shaking behind the scenes, and she came over next to me. She's like, "Can I stand here?" And I was like, "I'll be your safe space."
Aww.
And she got up on stage, and she was all like, "I got this."
Yeah, like knocked it out of the park. You couldn't hear a pin drop in that room, and that's what you want when you have a storyteller, a testimonial speaker, someone that's talking about why we're raising money. And okay, so feedback from the organization about the previous year, they told me nobody would shut up. They were like, nobody listened.
What, really?
Yeah, they were like, nobody listened at the event. Everybody was rowdy. Everybody was just not paying attention.
I'm sorry. Well, okay. If somebody came to me and they told me that the event had been rowdy before, I definitely wouldn't have gone on with the amount of speeches that they had, number one.
Right.
But that is not how I would envision that audience at all. But,
Yep.
Bobby, you recently told me...
Yes?
One of your donors in Arizona, one of your major donors, told you why the audience was rowdy at their event.
Yeah, if it's bad sound, bad flow, anything like that, then they're going to take over. But in this case, there was actually good sound, relatively good. My microphone wasn't set right, and
But we worked it out. You had a good team there running.
We had a fantastic team that was there and helped to build that momentum and made some amazing things happen. It was great. Great to see that. The clients were super happy. We had a bunch of high-level gifts that I didn't know that we were going to have. I mean, we had, I think I maybe had two.
I loved it, Bobby, when we talked about where you were going to start before the event, and you were like, I really want to start above, this level, and they're telling me just give it a try, and we don't think maybe we'll get one person or something. And what do we have, like 15 people at that level, at the highest level? Yeah,
it was great. Very, very awesome. And then
next year, they can take one of those people and make them bump them up another. Oh, man, there's so much opportunity there.
Oh, there's a lot. And that, again, is where we're evolving their cultural fundraising, because last year it was like a silent auction and a live auction, and then they did a very poor appeal. This year we kind of switched it up, and we're like, no, we're going to put a lot of energy on the appeal. They threw in the auction items kind of at the end and said, okay, we can do these. This will be where it is. Anyways, the appeal was where the money was made, and it was
Did they
awesome.
have a pro team previously?
They did.
Huh, interesting.
They did.
That's frustrating, is that, and I don't blame anybody for this. I just think that people don't know that there are so many options out there for different partners.
You're right.
Especially in the auction industry. And there's so many different styles. And look, I could have stepped in there and said, you have to do it this way. You have to do it that way. You have to do it this way. And they would have folded, right? Like,
right.
How you had to deal with them the way that they need to be handled. Now,
Yes.
I can sideline coach this
Yep.
every day and night.
Yep.
But until you're in it and you understand all of the intricacies of why the plan is the way the plan is, that's why, like I said, we get in the car afterwards. I'm like, Bobby, tell me why.
Well, we do this as it's a ritual after every event that we do. I always ask the team, is like, what was your favorite part? And then what would you change? Aaron, what was your favorite part?
What was my...
of the Friday night event?
I remember... I know I'm supposed to say something prolific here, except all I can really think about is as I'm running around doing 10 billion things.
Because you are an awesome wingman.
Coming off stage, a couple things. I'm in painful high heels.
They're not painful. They're wonderfully comfortable. At least they look like it when you're running around the room.
And I'm running my butt off. And a couple people did compliment me on my running skills in the heels.
Yes.
But as I'm getting off, they tell me to go get a water for Mary Louise Parker.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I wouldn't tell you that. Why would you know that? And so here I am running all the things. We get her the water, and now I have to bring her the water on stage.
Oh, my God.
So I hand her the water, and she's like, why are you giving me this water? And I'm like, I don't know. So I hand her the water, and now when we continue, we sell the item, and now I have to give her my microphone, and I hit the off button on the mic.
Oh, no.
And I hand her an off mic instead of an on mic. And then I have to go back, and I was like, I had one job, bring her water. But really, she and I were laughing a lot about it. But it was a very funny interaction because there was a lot of snafus that got handled because we're professionals and it was handled. But it was a very funny interaction. And she was like, why are you now giving me my microphone? It's like
That's
I was
awesome.
a stagehand instead of this person who's been running the entire floor.
In Louboutins, yeah. But, well, again,
They
like
were
you said,
Valentinos, but thanks.
oh, they were Valentinos. You're right. But that's why you work with professionals. There's nothing below us. There's nothing above us. We do what needs to be done in.
Well, the
job.
thing is, if I had not done that, right,
Yes.
somebody else would have had to.
Yes, and it would have taken 10 times longer.
It would have been longer. It would have held up flow. It would have stopped. There was an issue, and things had to be fixed. Like there was a bunch of things that had to be done that night.
Yep.
I guess that let me go to that. That was my favorite part. Is that you have an incredible team that works with you.
Yes.
And I'm glad when I get to be part of it. I'm not always part of it. I'm usually doing my own events.
Yep.
With my team, who I also adore. Obviously, you're my favorite.
Yeah.
But the team picks up the slack. They really do.
They do.
I mean, they seriously are putting Band-Aids on things that you have no idea. Especially as an audience member, you have no idea what's going on. From changing batteries and microphones to getting waters for people to making sure the little old lady in the back of the room can hear and bid appropriately.
And then selling a second item for $10,000.
And feeling engaged and
saying
exciting
thank
the
you
whole
to everyone.
room.
Yeah.
And, I just love that so much. It's such an embrace, and I love that.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite part.
Okay, we already talked about a timeline. That would be the one thing that you change.
I don't know. I don't know if I would change it. I would tighten it up. I don't know how much I would change.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm not going to say this is an absolute never do again situation.
Oh, no. And every event is unique within itself. So, yeah, I mean, again, we do the best we can with the information we have and make the adjustments that are necessary. And it's really the results at the end of it. I've got emails from the executive director, from all of the chairs, from the development director, and the administration assistant that was like, that was an awesome night. We raised so much money. So they're happy. If the clients are happy, I'm happy. We doubled what their goal was. Life is good.
That's true.
That's true.
That was some other stuff that happened. There were sheets that had to be run. We had to display some items. I grabbed some of the Miss Arizonians that were around that building. They come out.
Great.
I mean, there was all sorts of things that were happening, and I just think that it really ran very smoothly.
It was really smooth. Again, what do we say? We're like ducks. We're on a pond, and we look really, really calm on top, but underneath we're just kicking away.
Pedaling like hell.
Pedaling like hell. All right, so moving on. That was Friday. Friday was great. Now Saturday. Saturday was a bit different style of an event. Now Saturday was held at a private.
Wait, have you just said that both of these are abnormal timelines?
Oh yeah, total abnormal timelines.
Okay.
Yeah, totally abnormal. But you know what? I'm reading this new book. It's called The Art of Gathering. I'll put it in the show notes. And in there, the author says you have to shake it up. You got to change it up. You can't keep it the same as everything else. Like you got to change the venue and you got to change the timeline and the host has to be different. And that's what makes that memorable experience.
Well, but that's where I think that we are right now as a culture, is that we're looking at changing the timeline of events, and we're looking at events and saying, how did they change?
Yep.
And here were some good tests on there are some things that work and some things that don't work.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, there are things we can change, but maybe there are some things that don't change.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're right. And so then, okay, let's get to Saturday. So Saturday was held at a beautiful home of some very, very generous donors in far north Scottsdale, overlooking the desert. I mean, it had an epic sunset. They had this huge infinity pool, and it kind of stepped down. And then where it stepped down to the back of the yard, they had a stage and a full 16-piece swing band.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And Aaron and I danced. It was great. We love swing dancing.
That's true.
It was fun. And so
I
then
didn't
they
realize that's how big that band was. I mean, they were amazing. But
yeah, so good. And so throughout the house, they had all these little tasting stations. There was a casino night, and it was more of a third party event than a event that was hosted by the nonprofit. And the reason I say that is it was planned and prepared and executed and produced by 2 board members.
I want to slide in here and just say that the board for this organization is insane.
Oh,
they
yeah.
are so wonderful.
Yeah.
And I mean that in the best of ways. They really, we struggle so many times with groups that don't have great boards. Oh, I feel the pain. We feel it all the time.
All the time, yes.
But, a board member to step up and,
yeah.
Grab another friend, say, hey, this is the group. Bring on the other friend to the board and say, hey, we're going to have a fundraiser for you because this is the group. I mean, they did it.
Yeah. Yeah, they did. It was great. And with this particular event, we think it was probably like 85% of the people that attended it had no idea who this nonprofit was. It was all friends of friends.
Well, because let's just go back to, we talk about this. This is a small nonprofit.
Very small, yes. Sub $1 million a year.
I think, they one staffer?
One staff person.
So, again, we work with all different size groups. This is a small one. And they, again, back to the kitchen table, had a big issue. And the minute somebody hears the problem, they can't help but fix it.
Yeah.
And that is truly remarkable for all nonprofits.
Yes.
It's like, we know this is an issue. How do we fix this? And then to hear somebody is doing it, you're like, I'm in. So now you've got boards that are telling their friends, their neighbors, anybody who will listen, this is the group you need to know about. Come to this event.
Yeah. Yeah. And they did. So all these new people came to the event. They got to, there was some good signage that was around that was talking about who this nonprofit was. They had casino tables, which, made, it was a good, fun event. They had great cocktails. They did have an open bar. And they had, food that was prepared by the chef that was one of the board members. So it tasted good. It looked good. It was really, really fun. And then it was time for program. So then...
Bobby, we're in the middle of nowhere.
Seriously, middle of nowhere. There are more deer here.
So bizarre to me.
Yeah, there's more deer here than there is
I'm sorry, I did not
humans.
mean to interrupt your telling the story.
That's okay.
But, I went for a ride one time with an auctioneer, and she took me into Kansas, I think. I don't know.
I think it was Hutch, Kansas.
There was nothing.
It's like this.
And it felt just like this. And, look, I just said y'all. That's why they talk that way. No, really. People just don't understand. Like, when there's nothing, I've never seen nothing. This is probably like the third time in my life I've seen nothing.
Yes, this is very flat and very nothing-like.
Okay, I'm so sorry to interrupt. Go back to Fabulous, because I speak that.
So, fabulous event. It's time for the program. They shut down the casino tables. They had all of the guests put their raffle tickets into the raffle buckets to win the prizes. And
beep, beep, shit show moment.
Yeah, and all the things. So now they did that, and
I'm just going to say, this is a moment that we can all learn from.
Okay.
The closing of the casino night is a cute idea in theory, but you have to execute it appropriately.
Okay.
Especially if you want to continue. They didn't allocate enough time between the closing and the next
what
program.
The next thing was.
So there was a jam up. They were rushing people. There was yelling. There was like, come on, we got to put their ticket. We're all waiting. Everybody. So I'm just saying, let's, have a lot of people available for that moment.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. And make it smooth and make that transition good. So, yes, it was kind of the poop show. Do you have a call?
You can keep talking.
Okay, here, let me mute you.
No, keep talking. We're good.
Okay. So the program happened in between those things. It was hard to capture the attention of the entire crowd. And there's probably about 150 people that were there. So we try to get that 150 people to all pay attention. But the way that the particular, kind of setup was, it was really hard to have, kind of everybody get to where the event space was, and then there was an easy exit out of the back, which, again, people that go to galas and events are like squirrels, and if they're not paying attention, they will get distracted and they will move along, and that's exactly what they did. They moved along. So that's what happened. And okay, sorry, I muted Erin. She's on a call right now. I'm not sure what's happening. But anyways, back to the program. They had the band play a couple more songs to try to get the attention, and then they finally did storytelling, and then they finally did all of the things that they were supposed to be doing in regards of fundraising. And they did. And you're back.
I'm so sorry.
How's everything?
How am I this mom life thing?
Okay, mom
Do it
life.
all, mom. So we're traveling for work, which means the kids are not with us.
Right.
I hope.
Nope, they're not here.
One might have smuggled into that small backpack of yours.
In spirit.
Or cat. And so there's a million house fires that not literally, thank God, but like there's always like little things that have to be touched up on. But we're good. We're good.
You're good? All good?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I was just talking about moving in the program. We did the storytelling. We had the founder up there tell about, what this organization does and how they help people. And then they had the board member. And then they bring us up, and it's auction time. And
you had a fantastic team spread around the
again,
venue, which really helped.
Yes, yeah, to have the multi-tiers and have, a fundraising ambassador everywhere.
Glow in the dark something or flashing
Ooh,
something,
that's a good
because
idea.
I feel like they needed to stand out more.
Yes.
Although if you met them, you'd probably be like, they don't need to stand out anymore, but they did. And I love the way you introduced them, and they're cheering, and I love them.
Yeah.
And I love how that worked in that space, but nobody knew it was going to happen.
Yes, and that was one of the things, setting expectations of what's going to happen. And
I don't know very many people that are in a position to just like, oh, hey, what's going on? Oh, sure, here's $10,000.
yeah,
I'll
for an
buy
auction
that.
item. Yeah, so that's a thing to learn from, is that you need to make sure that you have the information of the auction items that go out to your attendees beforehand. You got to have a space with all the live auction items. Now,
But Bobby, if you have a space with your live auction items, how are you going to show the ones that are just like trips? What would you make a space?
oh, easy. That's where poster boards come in. And here's some beautiful pictures of this particular trip. Maybe here's some fun little artifacts. Like if you're going to Mexico, here's a sombrero,
I bet people are going to take like 3D models at some point in time and make little models out of them. That would be so fun. Okay,
my favorite is when they have television screens in the live auction display, and they're showing all of the different things that are happening. Are we Instagramming right now?
Taking a picture of nothing.
This is nothing. Absolutely nothing. So yes, there wasn't a lot of information about the live auction and whatnot. But however, with the generosity of the few bidders that we did have, I mean, we sold some great auction items. It was
legit
wonderful.
Nothing. There's nothing. It's
Wonderful.
beautiful though.
It is beautiful. Erin is definitely a city mouse.
You can take the girl out of New York.
She is definitely a city mouse. That's right.
I just picture that girl on the lawn, like climbing up the grass, like that painting. Okay.
Yep.
Anyways,
so we did the auction.
Yes, you have to prepare for getting into that moment. I like the idea of the video screens. I think that could have been appropriate. What I would suggest also is assigning somebody to a station to talk about the live auction items.
That's good.
I mean, you've got to have them prep the best ways you can. So use the space you have to educate what you're raising money for and how you're about to do it and what they're going to buy, the same way think about your event as like thinking about going to Target. Not always do I know what's in Bobby's brain.
Nor do I know about what's in your brain.
You're so lucky.
I really am.
But, I don't know what their goals were for some of those numbers and some of those things. So yeah. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Well, they exceeded the expectations of the total event. And they did it. The paddle raise was a little lackluster. I hoped it could have been better, but it was hard to capture that attention, that 100% attention like we did on the night before, where you could hear the pin drop and we had 100% focus.
No, they were like rolling cigars upstairs.
Oh, yeah.
They were having tastings upstairs.
They were having a really,
inside.
really great time.
It was a very disjointed event.
Yes. And
which is not bad.
No, not bad. Again, the results.
Just different.
The results of the event. They raised the money that they wanted to have. They hit their goals, which was great. But the most important thing, and especially when I was asking them about what are the objectives of this, it was to find new donors. They wanted to, number one.
This is a fundraiser.
Yeah, this was a fundraiser. It was a fundraiser and a fundraiser. And the other goal was to raise enough money in which they were able to hire 2 more staff people. And they did it. They raised enough money to hire those 2 staff people.
I feel like that's one of those, look out for this group. They're going to be one of those big ones.
Yep. Yeah. So they did it. They had accomplished the goals. They made it happen, and it was a lot of teamwork that come in and making the situation the best that it is. Yeah, and I think we did that. So my favorite part of the night, you know what I'm talking about. There was a country artist that they had fly in from Nashville that was kind of like the final number of the night.
I thought you were going to tell me it was the chef was your favorite part. He was so wonderful.
I love Chef Jay. Chef Jay was awesome. He's so cool.
I know he
is. So we had a country artist, Stephen Cade. We're going to have him on the podcast very soon. out of Nashville. He's a multi-time Grammy nominee, great singer, songwriter, guitarist, and he's on stage playing some awesome songs. And
now I'm going to interject because we're going in the flow.
In the flow.
Here would have been my issue.
Okay.
Here's my I would have fixed moment is that you ended the auction. You broke us.
Yes.
You dismissed us all.
Yes.
And then music happened. And so assumptively, it was like casino's done. Auction's done. Music done. But wait, there's more.
And
that
Surprise
was hard because
item.
we all were freezing and walked inside.
Yes. So from that, we still sold it for good money. We still had a great performance from Steven, and he did a little.
But I love that he was performing and then you sold him. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. So and that's kind of his stick. He's that does this organization called Giving Guitars, and he gave this guitar to this organization, and they used it to raise money, and they did a private party with him, and it came out really good. It was fun, and it was a great way to cap the night for the people that were there. I did speak to a donor that was a returning donor that's been with the organization for many, many years, and she was so happy. She was so excited, So find new donors. They did that. Check. Make returning donors happy and have them give more money. Check. And have a good time.
Well, I think they also, something else that they did is that they honored recipients. They honored people and folks that were part of the organization. They talked about their mission, but they made it in a way that they were really honored. I think that that's something really special that was happening. Yeah. So I've often seen what they will call a survivor speaker or, story, and they'll, maybe they'll give them clothes or dress them up or something. But this group actually had a fashion person do a whole stylist on them, do makeup, do hair, do clothing, and made them almost runway ready for their, moment of fame, because a lot of them have never done anything. So one of them was I've never even worn makeup before. I'm so excited. And I think that just giving them that exciting moment beyond, and I guess maybe I don't know why that raises more money, because I don't know that I can tie that in somewhere to raise more money, but what a feel-good moment. And if you got to speak to any of those people that night, there's no way you're not madly in love.
Yes.
And they will go spread the mission loud and proud.
Yes. Yeah. And again, that's another, checkbox, that we marked. And it did feel really good. And we do look at the results. Oh, see, there's those deer I was telling you about. Look at them all. Look at, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 deer in the cornfield. We have a lot of deer on Long Island. It's not that exciting. But
no, deer was not my thing, but that's okay.
No, anyways. So
as long as they stay off the road.
Yes. So the results of a gala are not necessarily only about raising money. There was a lot of boxes that were checked with both of the galas that we had been in, and I think they were great. I was happy with the performance. And again, you and I are such perfectionists and such people that just keep making it and better and better and better. And ultimately, the clients were happy.
Well, again, we're back to the reason that you're doing a podcast is that perfectionist is not the right word. It is the strive to try different things and to make different things better. I had a client call me recently. Actually, it was fall.
Okay.
And they had a relationship with their previous auctioneer, and things went great, but they felt like their auctioneer barked at them.
Oh, I have a story. Keep going. Yes.
And really force-fed them what was going to happen.
Ooh.
And you know that I want to write a blog about this so bad, about being in an abusive relationship with your auctioneer. I have had people cry to me from their treatment from their auctioneers.
Oh, that sucks.
And here's what I want to say is that the auctioneers, I don't even know these auctioneers, to be totally honest. These are not people that I know, but on behalf of all auctioneers, I will speak to and about them. I believe it is with their best intention that they do this. They believe full-heartedly that they are telling you the right information.
Yes.
And there are only so many times as an auctioneer you can hear, but we've always done it this way.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, and it's always had a problem, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to tell you, but at the same time, there is a trust that has to go back and forth.
Yep.
You remember, and I'm going to tell it, and then we'll have a podcast about it, and we'll deep dive into it. But there was a client that I had that when I first walked in the door, they literally turned their back on me.
Yes, they were like, "You're an auctioneer. You're horrible."
Oh, who are you? Oh, the auctioneer? Yeah, bye.
Yeah.
Meantime, they had hired me, and I was going to do their event that night. And then the next year, I could go in and do anything I wanted. They thought I walked on water. I think they were part of their family now.
Yes, and we love that, to be able to change that perception of that abusive auctioneer
right. So
to...
the reason that they changed their mind is that I listened to them.
Yep.
What did they want seen? What did they want shown? Sure, I thought it was wrong. Sure, I sat there going, there are definitely ways to do this better.
Yep.
But this was not the time or place to insert that push.
Yes.
And you have to work with a group, not at them. And I think that that's a huge thing. So these are events that you've had different timelines. You've tried different things. We're all looking for new. We're all bored. We all want something fun and different.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, we got married on a ferry.
Yeah.
You know, like, we all want different things. So I get that. But at the same time, there is tried and true practices that do work.
Yes.
And I think if you're using them as a backbone, that's great.
Yep.
But we can dance around it.
Yes.
We can make things better.
Yeah, and the event is not about the auctioneer. So let me tell you a real quick thing before we wrap up, is the event that we're on our way to had an abusive auctioneer for 5 years.
Agreed.
And they thought that he helped to change. I mean, he did. He helped to change the format of the auction and raise money and get him to
This is what I love. They also do love the abusive auctioneer because it does work.
It worked. It worked. The methods worked and the results were raising money. But did everybody feel good after it? No. Did the development team feel good after it? No. And they're still talking to me about...
Did the board, did the donors,
no.
like everybody has that same feeling.
Yes. And they... Yes. Anyways.
So do you know that this group had reached out to another friend of ours?
You really?
Yeah. And they reached out to me and to her. I was not available, which is how you ended up.
Yep.
Which I'm so proud of you for. Good
Thank
job, honey.
you.
High
Thank
five.
you.
High five. Wait, don't high five. You're driving. And
what is he steering
and
with?
the other auctioneer.
The other auctioneer. What did the other auctioneer keep going?
You're using your nose?
Yeah. My
the
knee.
Other auctioneer. Your high knee. Okay, we're so. Oh my gosh, we need more coffee.
Yeah.
I'm so glad our event is not tonight.
Yes.
We need a night of rest. Okay.
Yeah.
The other auctioneer was really hesitant. She just felt like, given the story, she didn't believe she had the capacity to hit exactly the right things and didn't feel super confident pitching it to do the right things, and really agreed with some of the things that the other auctioneer had said.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Totally.
You were like, no, I see it different.
Yeah. We can work with this.
And isn't that ADHD thing that, like, you see the world differently? Like,
totally.
You look at things from like a whole different point of view from everybody else. The fishbowl thing has happened.
Are a different color in my world.
They are a different color in your world. But I think the other person all saw this event the way we were being told this event was.
Yep.
And you saw this event in a different way, and you saw what the organization wanted but didn't know how to articulate.
Yes.
And it took you not what they thought that they needed, but it took you bringing in things. You had to bring in people. You had to bring in many different elements to this event.
Yep.
I cannot wait to see it in action, but I think that it was, I just didn't know if you knew that part of it.
Not really the full part of the story. So I keep hearing the backlash about the abusive auctioneer and this and this and this. Okay, we're going to change minds. We're going to do this. We're going to work together. And long story short is we have a great relationship with the client. We trust each other. We're friends. We work really, really good together. And we've got a great timeline set up. We've got a great show flow. There's a great video. We're set up for success. We've got the pre-secured gifts. We've got everything. And we're in the space. We're doing an art museum event tonight. And we're in the space of the art museum. So the patrons get to be where they get to enjoy the artwork and be a part of the community and celebrate the community and celebrate this great mission. So
I will go back now and tell you, because I didn't know how much you were sharing, but which is not proper English, I thought, she thought, and he thought, the other auctioneers all were like, it doesn't make sense to have it in this space. Although it makes sense theoretically to have it in this space, it physically didn't make sense to have it in the space. And Bobby's like, but wait, I have an idea.
We've got this. We can handle this. And we did.
And it does remind me a little bit of the museum that we've done, the park.
Yes. That's
We've had a couple other cool venues.
Yeah. And we're going to have a whole nother conversation about venues, but that was just one thing talking about us heading down the road here in the middle of nowhere.
But this is definitely a listen to the person conversation. And I think that's where we go back to, let's wrap this back up and talk about, you were told this is what they wanted to do, and then you framed it in a way to help make it what it needed to be without overpowering. Now, they will probably come to you. I know that the first one will definitely come back to you and say, okay, just create the event. Tell us exactly what to do. We'll do everything you want. Where last time they're like, well, we've always done it this way, so let's only change some of the things. Now they're going to be like, whatever you say.
Yes.
And, but at the same time, I don't know. That one cookie cutter does not fit all.
No.
That is what I do know.
Every event, I say it again, every event is a thumbprint upon the organization of which it's for. And they're all unique, and they're all special in their own ways, and that is your goal as a nonprofit fundraising event professional, whomever you are, CEO, development director, vendor, consultant, auctioneer, whatever, that's your job, is to make it very special, make it very unique, and make it very memorable.
I mean, the same way you're looking at the food, the centerpieces, the venue, the show flow, the auctioneer, even I have a great group that just told me that they absolutely love me. One of their favorite things about me is that I come dressed in the right colors.
Yes.
And even down to those little details, but you have to find everybody that fits the right thing together.
Yep.
And it's magic.
It's got all of it. And then when the magic works, and everybody happy. And if
you're sad and you're crying because you're in an abusive relationship with your auctioneer,
fire them and get somebody else.
Yeah, and if you don't know Wendy, call us, and we know somebody in your neighborhood. I guarantee it.
Yes, we do. We can help you find someone.
100%.
All right. Well, Erin, thanks for spending the road trip with me. I'm having a great time.
Still nothing.
Still nothing. We're almost there. We're 37 miles away from our destination.
That doesn't feel almost there. That's like half of Manhattan.
You're right, it is. It's actually half of Long Island. So anyways, thank you so much for watching and listening and being a part of this. Remember to like and subscribe and share and, do all those things. We would really, really appreciate it.
Bobby would really appreciate the thumbs up button. That's his favorite thing of all.
Ding the bell. Do the things too. Yeah. Anyways, we're here to help you raise more money at events. Or if you're my mom,
just keep sending this to all your friends. Hi, Mom. I love you too.
Speaking of Mom, we're having her on the podcast next week. So anyways.
She's going to cry.
Yeah, she's going to be great.
Oh my gosh. You got to watch it next week.
Totally going to be good. So anyways, my name is Bobby D.
I'm not telling you my name.
This is Erin, and we're with Heart of the Gala. Thank you so much for listening. Keep going out there, being awesome in the world, and make an impact.
Gala auctioneer. I think that's, I'm just going to identify as Gala auctioneer.
Gala auctioneer, at Gala auctioneer.
Oh, or at Star Auctions. Yeah, anyway.
All that. Star Auctions, Inspire Hearts Fundraising.
Thank you for listening, joining us on our adventures.
All right. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Funny.